The galactic transit hub of Vorith 9 was the kind of place where 1,000 species could pass through without ever acknowledging one another. Thousands of corridors, flickering holographic signs in 40 languages, merchants selling compressed protein cubes and neural link calibrators, and somewhere in the middle of it all, a human. Ava moved through the crowd like water finding its level. She was compact, brown-skinned, with dark hair pulled back in a practical braid, and she wore the gray uniform of the Intergalactic Courier Corps with the quiet ease of someone who had earned every patch on her sleeve. Her cargo was sealed in a biometric crate strapped across her back. She had 40 minutes to reach Docking Bay 7 before the sunken star departed. She did not make it. The corridor to Bay 7 branched left past a maintenance alcove, a blind spot. Ava knew this because she had memorized the transit hub's layout before she ever stepped foot in it. Old habit from Earth. From before. But knowing a blind spot existed and avoiding it entirely were different things when you had a deadline. 3 figures stepped out from the alcove. Calorians, tall, silicate-boned, blue-gray skin that shimmered under the artificial lighting. They were large even by alien standards. The tallest one's cranial ridge nearly scraped the corridor ceiling. Ava stopped. Assessed. Did the math. Human, the leader said in Standard Galactic. His voice was a low resonant scrape, like stone against stone. That crate. Private courier property, Ava replied. Her tone was calm. Not small. Biometric lock. Won't open for anyone but me. Then you will open it. She smiled without warmth. No. What happened next took 11 seconds. The cameras in that corridor, 3 of them, mounted at precision angles for maximum coverage, went dark simultaneously. A local EMP burst, small and surgical. Someone had planned this carefully. Someone with access to the hub's maintenance systems. The first Calorian swung. He was fast by most species standards. His fist, dense with silicon-reinforced bone, caught Ava across the left cheek and sent her into the corridor wall hard enough to crack the paneling. Any other species, Drevithi, Sulari, even a Kronex, would have gone down. Ava hit the wall, used it, and bounced back. The second blow she caught on her forearm. The crack that sounded wasn't her arm, it was a small bone in the Calorian's knuckle, because she had angled the block precisely, and human forearm bones, dense from years of load-bearing exercise at 1G, were not soft things. The Calorian made a sound she had no translation for. It sounded like pain. She drove her elbow into the second one's throat. Calorians breathed from a cluster of vents just below the jaw, same principle, different anatomy, and spun to put the wall at her back before the third could flank her. She was bleeding. The cheek blow had opened a cut above her cheekbone, and her left shoulder had taken impact damage from the wall. She could feel it. She filed it away. Later, said the part of her brain forged on Earth, where every environmental variable was trying to kill you before you were old enough to know its name. Feel it later. The third Calorian grabbed for the crate strap. She let him pull, used his momentum, and sent him face first into the opposite wall. He didn't get up. The leader was reconsidering. She could see it in the way his bioluminescent markings dimmed. She had seen that look in predators before, on Earth. In the split second they recalculated whether a target was worth it. Get up, she said quietly. Try again. He didn't. Eli found her 40 seconds later. He was the security officer on duty for Sector 14, a Salvathi, 4-armed, rust-colored, with compound eyes that processed 16 degrees of visual spectrum simultaneously. He had received an alert from a corridor wall impact sensor, of all things, because the cameras had gone dark and the system had defaulted to its secondary detection grid. What he found was one human female, standing upright, with blood on her face, 3 incapacitated Calorians arranged at her feet, and a biometric crate still strapped to her back. Eli had been in transit security for 9 years. He had seen a lot of things. He had never seen this. I need a medical team, Ava said before he could speak. Her voice was steady. And you need to check your maintenance logs for an unauthorized EMP pulse in the last 3 minutes. Whoever helped these three planned ahead. Eli stared at her. Also, she added, I have a ship to catch in 32 minutes. Is there a faster route to Bay 7? The medical team arrived. Ava sat on the corridor floor, back against the wall, her choice, while a Drevathi medic with careful hands assessed the damage. Fractured cheekbone. Bruised shoulder. 3 lacerations. You need a cellular regenerator, the medic said, her translator emitting the words in precise standard galactic. This cheekbone? Will it hold for another hour? A pause. Technically, yes. With a binding wrap. Then wrap it. I'll come back after delivery. The medic looked at Eli. Eli looked at Ava. You were assaulted, he said. The hub's security protocol requires. I know what it requires. She met his compound eyes without flinching. Most species found compound eyes unsettling to look directly into. She didn't seem to notice. I'll file a full report. I'll give you everything. But I need to make that ship. Eli crouched down to her eye level. It was something he did deliberately when he needed to assess someone. Most beings responded to it with either deference or discomfort. Ava simply looked back at him. What planet are you from? He asked, though he already knew the answer. Her file had loaded the moment he scanned her courier badge. Earth. Deathworld classification. That's what the registry says. He was quiet for a moment. He had processed 100 incident reports involving humans in his career. He had always treated them as a data category. Deathworld survivors. Adaptable. Resilient. Numbers on a classification scale. He had never stood in a corridor with one while she sat bleeding and asked him for a faster route to docking Bay 7. There's a maintenance transit line, he said finally. Direct route. Bay 7 in 12 minutes. She nodded. Let the medic finish wrapping her cheek. Then she stood up, smooth, careful, not showing how much it cost her. Thank you, she said, and she meant it. The report she filed was immaculate. Eli reviewed it that evening, in the quiet of the security office after his shift had ended. Every timestamp, every detail. She had noted the exact angle of the first blow, the estimated force, the structural vulnerability in the attacker's grip that had allowed her to redirect. She had described the EMP burst with enough technical specificity that their forensics team had located the source within the hour, a corrupt maintenance technician, third-party contracted, with ties to a cargo theft ring operating across 6 systems. She had also noted, in precise, unapologetic language, that she had sustained her injuries and continued her delivery because the cargo she was carrying was medical equipment bound for a refugee settlement on the 3rd moon of Kethera. Delay would have meant another 48 hours before the next ship. She had assessed the risk and made a decision. Eli sat with that for a long time. He had spent 9 years in security thinking about threats. About which species were dangerous, which were docile, which required extra monitoring, which could be waved through. He had his categories and his classifications and his accumulated professional certainty. He pulled up her species file. Homo sapiens. Earth. Environmental hazard classification, 9.4. Gravity, 1G standard. Atmospheric pressure, complex. Evolutionary history, predator-prey simultaneous development. Notable traits, endurance hunting, pain tolerance, social bonding under stress, problem-solving under duress. Notable traits. He thought about the way she had stood up. There was a supplementary note at the bottom of her report, almost a postscript. I would like to commend the secondary detection grid that triggered Officer Eli's alert. Whoever designed a fallback system for camera outages made a good call. Please pass that along. He read it twice. Then, for the first time in 9 years, Eli added a personal note to an incident report. Courier Ava, species, human, conducted herself with exceptional composure, tactical precision, and professional priority under physical duress. Recommend commendation. Also recommend that all corridor camera systems in Sector 14 be upgraded to shielded housing to prevent future EMP disruption. Additional note, I have updated my internal classification of Earth origin personnel. The registry's 9.4 hazard rating applies to the environment. I believe the rating for the species itself requires a separate category. I am still determining what to call it. The sunken star departed Vorith 9 on schedule. In the cargo hold, a biometric crate sat secured in its transit harness. And the human who had carried it across a station, through a blind corridor, past 3 attackers and a fractured cheekbone, slept in her bunk with a wrapped jaw and a delivery confirmation already filed. She had done her job. She always did. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.